What if we were never alone? What if every moment in human history, every invention, every war, every whisper in the dark wasn't ours to begin with? In the shadows of the stars, something ancient has been watching, not waiting to attack, but waiting for us to be ready. This is not just an alien invasion story. This is the truth behind our existence. And tonight you'll finally understand what they were really here for. Welcome to the Arrival Protocol, a 5-part journey into the horrifying secret we were never meant to uncover. The Arrival Protocol, the silent message. The night sky over Cold Ridge, Alaska, was unusually clear, an endless stretch of stars blinking in frozen silence. The edge of the forest, nestled among snow-covered pines, stood the Polaris listening station, a facility so remote that its nearest neighbor was 1,000 miles away. Inside, only 2 people were on duty: technician Jordan Weller and astrophysicist Dr. Dana Kessler. Jordan leaned back in his chair, sipping lukewarm coffee, his boots propped up near the humming equipment. Dana sat hunched over a panel of blinking lights and audio dials, scanning deep space radio signals, her nightly ritual for the last 6 years. She was used to silence, to static, to false alarms. But tonight was different. At a sharp tone pierced her headphones, repeating, rhythmic. She stiffened at a burst of binary code scrolled across her monitor. 01010100. Her fingers trembled as she translated IT. That IT was unmistakable. The chosen is OURS. She froze. The message repeated, over and over, faster each time. Then it changed. We are coming. Her stomach dropped. She signaled Jordan, who reluctantly stood up and leaned over her shoulder, frowning at the screen. Is this a prank? He asked. No, Dana whispered. The signal isn't local, that it's coming from deep space. Sector 19, just beyond the Oort cloud. Jordan's smirk faded. He watched as the data stream increased in speed, the binary forming intricate patterns. The IT was almost as if the signal was evolving, learning. Dana saved the sequence and sent it to NASA's off-grid data repository. Before she could call her supervisor, the power in the entire station cut out. Total blackness. Backup should have kicked in, Jordan muttered, fumbling with a flashlight. But no emergency lights came. No hum of generators. Only the growing sound, an eerie, low-frequency hum that seemed to come from beneath the earth. Dana's computer flickered for a moment. The screen glitched, then displayed a single phrase in red. Received. She and Jordan exchanged a silent glance. Then outside, they heard it, a deep rumbling, like thunder cracking beneath their feet. A faint blue glow lit the forest edge. IT pulsed, like a heartbeat. 3 days later, Donna's YouTube video analyzing the signal had reached over 8 million views. In it, she explained the origins of the message, the exact coordinates, and the terrifying translation. She spoke calmly, scientifically, but with visible dread in her eyes. That night, Dana disappeared from her apartment in Anchorage. No sign of forced entry. Her computer was wiped clean. Her cat was left unfed. The only clue, a sticky note on her desk that read, "Don't listen to the hum." Jordan tried contacting her, then vanished. 2 forums lit up with panic. A subreddit dedicated to the signal emerged, filled with conspiracy theories, spectral waveforms, and AI-translated images embedded in the binary. The images looked eerily like star maps overlaid on human anatomy. Then came the power outages, satellite disruptions, and the strange reports globally from ham radio operators receiving the same message in different languages. The final broadcast from Polaris Station leaked onto the deep web. In it, Donna's voice could be heard whispering, "It's not a message, it's an invitation." The stars above Cold Ridge began to move point one by one. They blinked out of sight, repositioned, realigned. Then the hum returned louder than ever, and the world held its breath. Lights over Black Hollow. Black Hollow, Oregon population 741, that a quiet, forest-wrapped town no one ever talked about unless they were driving through it at a single main street. .1 diner, .1 gas station. And now, something watching from above. It started with the lights. .3 orbs, the size of water towers, floated silently above the tree lane, just outside of town. No engines, no sound, just motionless, glowing spheres that pulsed with a cold, white light. At first, the townsfolk thought it was a prank, maybe a drone show. Sheriff Allen Ellis, a grizzled veteran of 30 years, went out to investigate with Deputy Claire Thorne. They drove up toward Ridgeview Clearing, where the lights had first been spotted by teenagers late one night. But when they arrived, the lights were still there, not moving, not drifting, just hovering, motionless, as if watching. Military craft? Claire asked, aiming a flashlight at the sky. No lights like that, Ellis said. No heat, no wind, no damn noise. They stood there for a long time in silence. Then all three lights blinked off at once. The forest went black, and from within the trees, something moved. The next morning, Sheriff Ellis returned to the clearing alone. Claire had stayed behind, spooked and unwell. Her eyes were bloodshot. She complained of a sharp ringing in her ears and claimed she could hear something crawling inside her skull. Ellis walked into the forest in the snow. He saw deer tracks, rabbit prints. Then did something else, did a circular pattern in the earth, like something had pressed into it, melting the snow and scorching the soil. In the center lay a metallic object, a cube, smooth, black, and humming with a vibration so subtle it made his teeth ache. It had no buttons, no openings, just a surface etched with strange, glowing glyphs that seemed to move when not being looked at directly. He picked up his radio. It fizzled with static. Then a voice, not his deputy's, not from dispatch. A whisper. He sees you. He dropped the radio and backed away. But before he could run, the cube emitted a high-pitched tone so sharp it cut through the air like glass. Ellis fell to his knees, blood pouring from his nose, eyes watering, and still no one around him made a sound. No birds, no insects. The forest was silent that night. A 17-year-old boy named Curtis Barnes decided to live stream the lights above his backyard. His video, Aliens in Black Hollow, trended on TikTok within an hour. Viewers watched in fascination as the lights returned lower this time, just above the treetops. Curtis laughed and zoomed in. Maybe they'll beam me up, or something. He didn't see the shape moving behind him. A tall, impossibly thin figure emerged from the woods, its body glistening like tar, head elongated, eyes like mirrored obsidian. It reached toward Curtis with long, fingerless arms, and the feed went black. The video was removed minutes later, but not before 100,000 people saw it. Copy spread on dark forums. Reddit exploded. The last frame of the video, frozen and enhanced by users, revealed something terrifying. A second figure standing in the trees, watching, motionless, its face entirely smooth, no eyes, no mouth, just flesh, just presence. The town begins to break. Over the following days, more people went missing, livestock found gutted, pets vanishing. Electronics refused to work at night, and every evening, the lights returned closer, brighter, colder. Claire lost her mind. She walked into the station at 3:04 a.m., covered in cuts, babbling in a strange language, her pupils wide and unblinking. She collapsed and never woke up. Her blood analysis later revealed non-human cells in her bloodstream. Sheriff Ellis barricaded the town, cutting off all roads in and out. But it didn't matter, because the sky was no longer theirs. The lights hovered now directly above homes. Power grids failed. Phones died permanently. And at exactly 3:33 a.m. each night, every mirror in town showed reflections that didn't match. One man swore his reflection winked at him. The final straw. A group of survivors, including Ellis, Curtis' father, and Dr. Miles Richter, a local retired physicist, gathered to destroy the cube in the clearing, believing it might be calling the lights. They approached with axes, fire, even explosives. The cube began to spin, hovering slightly. Its humming turned into something worse, a voice. "We are not above you. We are within you." That a flash of blinding light engulfed the group. When it faded, only Ellis remained standing. The others were gone. That no blood, no dust, just gone. And in the snow beside the cube, a fresh message etched in the earth. Phase 1 complete. Ellis ran back to town, but there was no town left, only silence, and the lights still watching. The Echo Code. 1 week after Black Hollow vanished from the maps and from existence, strange symbols began appearing around the globe. They weren't painted or carved. They were burned into surfaces. On the side of a skyscraper in Tokyo, across a frozen lake in Finland, even into the sand of the Sahara. The markings pulsed faintly at night, visible only under certain angles of light. But what terrified people most was when they started appearing on human skin. Random citizens woke up to find a single glyph seared into their bodies, on their backs, palms, the nape of their necks. The symbols did not hurt, but they glowed faintly beneath the skin, as if something alive pulsed inside them. Hospitals couldn't remove them. MRIs failed near the marked individuals. Doctors went missing. Some who bore the symbols began sleepwalking. Others stood still for hours, whispering in unrecordable frequencies. Surveillance cameras glitched. Whenever they came into view, they were being activated. Entered Dr. Malik. In Geneva, deep beneath the earth at a decommissioned nuclear research facility, a linguist named Dr. Hamid Malik was called in to decode what the international community now referred to as the Echo Code. Malik was a specialist in proto-languages, ancient scripts no longer spoken. What he saw horrified him. The glyphs matched fragments found in archaeological sites all over the world, including Mesopotamia, Göbekli Tepe, and even Antarctica. But they didn't belong to any known language. They were engineered an artificial language, non-linear, self-replicating, designed to evolve and embed itself into the human psyche. And every symbol repeated one terrifying phrase. "You were never alone." The cube again. Meanwhile, Sheriff Ellis, now living off-grid in the Montana wilderness, found another cube. This one wasn't humming. It was singing a low, melodic vibration, like a lullaby made of sorrow and static. Night. He saw it glowing beneath the floorboards of his cabin. It pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. And when he dreamt, he saw the lights, the watchers, the smooth-faced things. He began scratching symbols into the walls. Malik's discovery. Back in Geneva, Malik finally broke through the translation. The Echo Code wasn't a warning. It wasn't a message. It was a countdown. Each glyph corresponded to a celestial coordinate, a timestamp, and a directive. He realized that humanity had triggered something ancient and mathematical buried deep in their DNA, like a dormant command awaiting activation. The final line in the sequence translated as, "Phase 2 begins upon silence." That same night, the world fell quiet. The blackout. Satellites blinked out. GPS systems failed. Phones went dark. Emergency services collapsed. Planes fell from the sky. Nuclear facilities entered automated lockdown. Every television screen, every LED billboard, every smart device displayed the same symbol. a spiral made of eyes. Then a message appeared underneath in hundreds of languages simultaneously. Your signal has been received. The harvest will now begin. Panic spread. Cities rioted. Religious leaders declared doomsday. But no one noticed the most horrifying detail. The echo code wasn't static anymore. It was growing, etching itself into places that didn't exist before, appearing on clouds, reflected in water, inside people's dreams. Children began drawing the spiral with their eyes closed. Some began speaking fluent glyph. Ellis' last transmission. In a crackling audio file that leaked from a hacked radio observatory, Ellis could be heard breathing heavily. The transmission was recorded just hours before he disappeared. They were here before us. They wrote themselves into our biology, into our myths, into our faiths that we thought we were evolving. We were decoding the locks. From the inside, that a faint humming follows his voice, then static, then a whisper. Silence achieved. And from that moment onward, the sky opened. Harvest night. It began on a Thursday, exactly 3:33 a.m. Every major city on Earth fell under a thick, soundless fog that rolled in like a wave fast, low, and shimmering with faint pulses of violet light. Radar systems failed to detect it. Aircraft flying through it simply had vanished. Then the ships appeared. They didn't descend from the sky with roaring engines or grand displays of power. They were already here, hidden in plain sight, embedded in the clouds, camouflaged in the night sky, shaped like fractures in reality itself. Massive black structures emerged above skyscrapers, mountains, oceans. They weren't shaped like any craft ever seen. Some looked like twisted cathedrals, others like insect husks. All of them shared one trait: thin, spindly tendrils that extended downward, like fingers reaching for prey. And wherever they touched, life stopped. Cities in chaos in London. People froze mid-step as the tendrils passed over them, paralyzed, eyes wide with terror, mouths open but silent. Their bodies floated upward like puppets on invisible strings. In Mumbai, thousands ran for shelter, only to find the shadows of the ships waiting inside buildings. No place was safe. New York's skyline flickered like a mirage, distorted by electromagnetic pulses. A single ship hovered above the Statue of Liberty, its tendrils stretching down to the Hudson, sucking up light, sound, and eventually people. Drone footage showed them rising, stiff and silent, into the belly of the ships. They never screamed. They never fought. It was as if their minds were turned off. Inside the harvest zones, a resistance cell in northern Canada managed to capture footage from inside a harvest zone. What they found was worse than anyone imagined. Inside the tendrils, human bodies were suspended in gelatinous sacks, still breathing, eyes moving as if awake, but trapped in permanent paralysis. The sacks pulsed in rhythm with the ships. A scientist observing the footage noted, "They're not killing us. They're collecting us if we're ingredients." Some sacks contained half-formed hybrids, creatures with human limbs and eyeless faces. Others appeared to be growing, like something was feeding off the bodies inside. And the worst part, the people inside were still conscious. The return to Black Hollow. Sheriff Ellis, miraculously alive, emerged from hiding and found Dr. Malik, now working in a fortified underground lab in Norway. Together, they decided to return to where it all began, Black Hollow. The town was no longer on any satellite map. It was a black hole in every database. But on foot, they reached the edge of the forest where the first cube had been found. What they discovered was a nightmare. The clearing was no longer just a circlement, it was a crater, deep and metallic, filled with hundreds of open cubes. Each one emitted a soft hum. Floating above the crater was a single figure, a humanoid, faceless, draped in a living cloak of shifting glyphs that IT had no eyes. But it watched them. Malik whispered, "It's the Harbinger." The being raised one long, elegant arm, and suddenly Malik convulsed his body, folding in unnatural directions. Glyphs erupting from his skin, he turned to Ellis one final time and said, "They were never coming. They were always here." Then he exploded into ash, the singularity event. As harvests continued, a new phenomenon began. The sky developed a crack, not metaphorical or real, glowing fracture high above the Earth's atmosphere, as if reality itself was breaking apart. From the crack, shapes could be seen enormous, insectoid, moving slowly across impossible geometry. They cast shadows across the moon that a message appeared simultaneously across every screen. In the sky, in dreams. The womb has opened, the seed shall rise. Earthquakes followed. Time began to bend, some clocks reversed, people aged in seconds or regressed into infancy before vanishing. Gravity fluctuated, the moon's orbit decayed. Ellis recorded everything that he stood in the center of the clearing and pointed his camera at the Harbinger. They're not taking the planet, they're taking the species, and what they leave behind won't be human. The Harbinger raised its hand again. The camera went black. The aftermath. Across the globe, cities were left empty, machines still ran, buildings still stood, but there were no people, just silence and shadows that moved when no one was looking. The harvest ships began to rise, not with engines or fire, but as if they were returning to the place they came from. Between realities, they vanished through the crack in the sky. One final message echoed across Earth. The process is complete, and the stars, once again, began to shift. We were the experiment. The sky was quiet again, too quiet. After the ships left, Earth felt like a shelled, no wind, no birds, no signals. Just static in the air, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Those who remained, less than 1% of the human population, crawled from basements, bunkers, and deep-sea facilities. Survivors from tribes, caves, off-grid islands. Some remembered the harvest, others had no memory at all. They gathered in silence, drawn by instinct, to the largest remaining city on Earth, Geneva. There, deep below the ground, a recording played itself, the final transmission. The voice was unmistakable, Dr. Hamid Malik, but his tone had changed. It was calm, detached. You survived, not because you were lucky, but because you were meant to. This planet is a petri dish. You were the variables, and now the experiment has ended. He explained everything. The alien intelligence known only in glyph as the architect had embedded itself into early human DNA, long before civilization. Every major leap in culture, science, emotion was manipulated. They watched us evolve, adapt, self-destruct. They weren't interested in destroying humanity. They were interested in what we would become. And now they were taking the results back with them. The survivors are not the same. Ellis, one of the last known witnesses, wandered into a survivor camp in Norway. But he was different now. His eyes glowed faintly under certain lights, but he never blinked. And he spoke in his sleep in the language of the glyphs. One night, someone recorded him muttering, "They left us because we are ready. It first." The survivors didn't understand. But then children were born, and they were not human. Eyes too large, bones too dense, thoughts too fast. They understood things they had never been taught they could. Communicate without speaking. They drew spirals in the dirt and laughed when stars disappeared. One girl, barely 6 years old, wrote this in charcoal on a bunker wall. They're watching again, but this time from inside us. The final revelation. On the 333rd day after the harvest, the survivors looked up and saw the stars rearranged, not constellations, but coordinates. A map. Malik's voice echoed one last time as a global recording suddenly played. Phase 1, observation. Phase 2, harvest. Phase 3, integration. Phase 4, rebirth. And then silence. Not a fearful silence, but a waiting silence. The Earth was no longer Earth. It had become something else. The experiment had succeeded. Last scene. In a blacked-out recording found in a frozen drone in Antarctica, a smooth-faced figure appears. It kneels before the camera, tilts its head. Then it speaks in perfect English. Thank you for participating. Evolution has been uploaded. The camera shuts off, and a heartbeat echoes across the void. The end, or the beginning. If this story left you speechless, imagine what's still out there. The truth doesn't end here, it's only the beginning. Did you catch every hidden clue? Drop your theories in the comments, I read them all. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more terrifying tales, and hit the bell icon so you never miss what comes next. Until then, watch the skies. And remember that they're still watching you.